I don't want to work every day. I want to party every day.
Here I am, I see something, I want to contribute, and it comes naturally for me to
be a guinea pig when it comes to
Yellow diarrhea.
Interesting. When my baby is born, do I just give it LSD?
just do it.
I don't need drugs, I'm traveling.
You keep your asshole tight.
It's acceptable.
The DAOs are in the house. Let it rip. Okay, take us away, drunk boy. Give us a good intro.
Let's today, dear listeners, we are joined by Mirtex, a contributor at ShineDAO and what seems to be an all-around great guy. Happy to have you here, Mirtex. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I would say that it's acceptable. That's the nice level, right? Yeah, acceptable. I'm a Central European. I'm from the post-Soviet bloc, right? So the excitement levels in that kind of answers, acceptable is like the same as US grades, right? It's still,
okay.
it still means the same thing, right? Because those people are usually not great. It's just day is going along like the other day. Nothing. No house burning, but not a lottery winning or something. So it's like day like the others. So acceptable is kind of like Central European version of that US grade or maybe British fine, right? So that's kind of like that. So you have to put that in the perspective, because in English everybody's kind of expected to answer the American way, but that's
of course.
That's sometimes culturally very dependent, right?
Yeah, fuck optics as well. Like, I hate it when things are like, "Oh, how are you guys? I'm doing great. How are you?" And you're supposed to say
when the English speaker asks you how are you and you try to answer and they go like, keep your problems. Just say great and fuck off.
Yeah. Just please keep my illusion of just, everything is nice and dandy. But I was wondering if bad is good and good is great, what is then like great becomes
Orgasm.
Orgasm, like, it's
orgasm levels, right? Something like that. That is
How's life? Yeah, it's great.
It's great.
Like Tony the Tiger. Great.
I'm not really sure about that, but can be. It really depends on the perspective.
I don't think I can eat Frosties anymore now.
What's the white thing in them?
That's
okay.
not cool.
Then now we have an introduction.
Yeah.
So, Tex, what was your aha moment when it came to crypto or Web3 or whatever this space is called that we're in right now?
Aha moment, I would say that when I realized that minus 60% on whatever is like nothing's going on.
Can you elaborate a little bit, please?
It's like, I'm a long-term investor in in stocks and other things, so you kind of expect the things to be a little bit more steady, right? From the perspective of if something's moving like 10-15%, you go like, "Ooh, that's a bloody volatile, year." And in crypto, if a daily movement is like 20-30%, it's like, nah, nothing is really going on. Our market is pretty steady today, right? So especially with altcoins, so you go like, that is a mindset change. So you look at your CoinGecko or whatever, wherever you keep your portfolio, right? And you go like, all right, minus 12, plus 70, minus 90. All right, so let's see how that develops and that kind of stuff. So from the perspective of crypto, that was kind of an aha moment. You kind of have to get used to that. You have to change your perception and look at the things in more broader perspective and be patient and just adapt that diamond hands approach. Otherwise, you kind of die of stress and panic, like many paper hands do, right?
Of course. That's a
So I
public
think-
service announcement. No paper
Yeah,
hands.
of course. No paper hands. If you go paper hands, then you will just cry later. That's how it is.
That's the there we have the title of the today's episode maybe. But Mirtex, what is your background and how did you end up getting into crypto?
Jesus Christ. It's just a hobby. Huh? It is not my job. I'm a long-term middleman, middle-level manager in like international corporations, managing people for more than 14 years. So this is funny, new, exciting stuff to play with. Yes, it has earned some money, but considering the overall wealth, it is still not, enough to retire. But maybe because the crypto has that potential, and yeah, it's just something to play with, and it's exciting, and you meet new people, and it's fun, and it's kind of dynamic, and things are changing, and you have new ideas flowing everywhere. It's kind of different from the world that I'm typically living in. So that's why, and that's why it really makes sense. And it maybe brings something to the world at all. Let's see, like I'm very much libertarian in my thinking, you know. So the crypto fits into that category because the low traceability and all that shit, that kind of is cool, right?
Yeah. Do you think
100%.
that since you're from Central Europe, the past has influenced you so that you
Of
kind
course.
of get crypto in a different way?
Yeah, of course, because I'm a 90s kid, I've spent my teenage years in 90s kind of a super hardcore freedom setup. It was the Iron Curtain fell and everything was fine up to the point that you were not limiting anybody. So no political correctness, no nothing. Everything was fine. Everything was great and things like that. And that's the mindset that I still have. So the crypto fits into that because it is kind of able to provide us with some level or degree of freedom. And if we saw things like how to do these pseudo anonymous things really anonymous, then that can really change the world, right?
100%.
Totally agree.
Because right now the ledger or the blockchain is still very traceable, but we have some few services and we have Monero and things like that. And if we kind of put that some way together and make the things less traceable, then it's definitely a thing which can help a lot, especially in countries which still run like China or whatever. And maybe even future in Europe, because the pandemic has brought too much power to the governments again, my taste.
Agreed.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is every time I bring this up, which I don't anymore because of respect for my friends. But their question to me is like, what do you have to hide?
This is oh yeah, like no, like how to say that? Nice people have nothing to hide. Oh, how many times the people in history have heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not coming for me, so it's no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up to the point there's no one to defend you when they really come for you, right?
Yeah.
Ah.
I will show them this podcast instead and just be quiet. you can say it. I don't have to.
Yeah, because this is just so short-sighted, right? Because the governments should be always kind of limited in their powers or whatever the powers they have, because the government is never really capable of being responsible in anything that they get. in any power, in any money, the worst spender is government, and always will be. The worst kind of a caretaker of people is the government, and the more people rely on government, the more cheapish they become. That's
Couldn't
not a
have said
good.
it better myself, man.
It's just like that. I'm too old to respect that, because
It's
So-
nice with some Central European mindset. I worked at a bank earlier, and we had some Lithuanians that also worked at the bank. I'm not from Central Europe, and it was so different, the culture there. So the people where I'm from, the Scandinavian people, they didn't know how to handle it, because there was like really no bullshit from the Lithuanians. They really said what they were thinking, and they didn't really understand why you would like filter out some things, especially not at a workplace where you should be able to speak freely, or like speak your mind.
Otherwise, that really leads to inefficiency, And I've been working with some people from Sweden. That was sometimes even like really painful, because because there was so much of political correctness that you could sell it by tons. You just pack it in the packages and sell it. Oh, Jesus Christ. That kind of stuff was just really annoying, because you cannot say, that the person is fat, because whatever, it's offensive. Oh, really? That, all right. So it's like that, the Jane from accounting, who, that lady, which is like, not really small, not really small. Yeah. Like, all right. She's like 1.50 m. No, not this way small, Jesus fucking Christ.
Shout out to all the Swedes there.
Shout out to all the Swedes.
Tell people that they're fat. No, talk about them behind their back and say that they're fat.
Yeah.
If you need to.
And it's like for me, this is like really annoying. You look at the hospitals with COVID, and you see fat people, like 90%. Yeah. And it's like, all right. But now it's like people who are not vaccinated should not have their healthcare paid because they are not vaccinated. And I'm like, and the fat people? So somebody made them fat. It's like, or you just
Exactly.
or you go to bed and you wake up in the morning and you go like, oh shit, I have 180 kilos.
That
You
only
could,
works in Spider-Man.
I think there is an argument for at least I'm able to do it, blaming the government for fat people. If you consider, at least in America, where buying fast food is cheaper than like making your own because of inflation.
Yeah, but it's kind of, but this is also kind of flawed argument a little bit, because it is about how you kind of approach that, right? If you really want to eat that much, because they go and buy buckets of whatever, as I guess in KFC they sell buckets, right? So you buy buckets of that. Do you really need a bucket of food? Or so can you make yourself a little bit less for roughly the same money, which will be much more healthy and kind of make you feel even better from that perspective? I think
in that case, I would blame capitalism, or I mean, I always blame the government in the end. But like, it's you need growth all the time. So the only way to get growth is to start fucking with your customers, and they're becoming really good at like, if you only serve different sizes of buckets, then you will get a bucket.
A lot of buckets.
Yeah, of course. But this is kind of a I'm a libertarian in that. So it's your choice. You can choose whatever you want. You can choose whatever you want. The companies are trying to fool you, yes, but you're still, having your free will and a brain to use. And if you decide not to, yeah, it's still your fault, right? Nobody made you eat that. Nobody tied you to the chair and fed you that. No, you did that to yourself. All right, that was so tasty. Shoes. Yeah. it's still kind of a thing that, we are still free to choose. And that's what the free market gives us, right? My choices are different than the others. I'm fine with my choices. The others choose something else. They should be fine with that, and they should not blame anybody else for what they are doing. It's their fault. It's your fault in the end.
So what do you think about crypto and all the scams and all of this going on?
Yeah, but that's also kind of a nature of a human history and everybody. When there is an easy way to get money by fooling others, you always get that. The crypto is just super easy to do it, so people do it more. But it's because it's cheap, to set up a fake coin or whatever on scam people or on Telegram or whatever. You don't need any money for that, so it's easy to do. So everybody who has that kind of a target or mindset or whatever, who is fine with fooling people, they do it a lot because it's just really easy. But otherwise, that was always happening in a human history. You can look into the books in old Egypt, and there were scammers and people who fooled each other, and they were taking things and money, and they were running fake scams or whatever. So that is nothing new. The crypto has just lowered the limit to do that. The investment to do it, and you can do it much more in broad, in a broader scale. It's like an email scam, right? It is just more bound to the crypto. So it's not for me, it's not an issue. It's like, and usually if you use a little bit of a brain, you are, like 99.9% of the scams are just stupid. So you have to be dumb or very greedy to fall for that, right?
Exactly. If people weren't greedy, if people had a long-term view, or at least a view that was beyond a month, I'd say a big chunk of all the scams would be gone. It's this really fast money that lures people in.
Yeah, if you don't have time to read what's on the MetaMask, what do you call it? What you approve, then you're probably looking at like daily, short-sightedness. And I'm trying not to be, what do you call it? Put blame or like tell someone that they're stupid or something like this, but I can see why, if you really, really need to mint that NFT like as of today, before everyone else, then I can see why you wouldn't use your brain at that point, and by then you're totally fucked.
And it's like that, and it's like the same thing. Yeah, I was there when the web was created, when we used it first time, and that was like a really nice community because there were people who were kind of tech savvy and you had to understand things. So that was like, but once the regular guys kind of got to the internet, that became a little bit of a shithole, as it is right now. And you had the social networks and all that shit, and the scam came with that, with all the emails. We all get thousands of scam emails, and nobody assumes that email is a piece of shit, right? We use it daily. Yeah, we use it daily, and it's fine if you filter that out and you ignore all the penis enlargements and the hot singles next door and all that shit, right? And all the money and investment here and the new.
I think you can buy Russian wives. Is it popular? At least for me. Do you get that when you're in Central Europe?
No, not that much. Everybody, but everybody gets that. It's like, it's and the it's kind of interesting. When sometimes I read the email scams just to kind of for fun or something, and after a while you realize that most of them are stupid. And you look at them and you see it's a scam for whatever reason. It just looks dumb, and I'm like, why do they make it this dumb? And I realized that maybe it's on a purpose, right? Because you send out you send out like 3 million of the same emails, and you need dumb people to trust you. So it's kind of a dumb. So only dumb people react to that because guess at least average intelligence or awareness people will, will find out in a second or third step, and you will just waste your time with them. So you make it stupid from the beginning. So whoever falls for that is probably dumb. It's harsh to say it this way, but it's like probably like that, right?
Yeah, you'll get a fewer percentage in the beginning of the conversion funnel, but along the way you'll get a higher percentage if the email is really bad compared to if you make a good email. So
it's good. It's good return on investment, right?
yeah, of course.
And I think that's the same for the crypto. Most of the scams are just dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're quite scammy. It looks like a scam.
They look like scam. When you're approached on a Telegram by somebody who is like, whatever group admin, and is like, now you have to verify your validhere.com or something like that. You go like, really, guys? Really? This is really dumb. And then you realize, okay, it needs to be dumb because it filters out people who have brains, right? Yeah, but yeah, we'll see how that happens, and how long will this kind of last, because the crypto is still a little bit of a wild west, no real regulation or anything. And let's see where that moves. If the crypto really makes a dent in the financial overall money valuation or anything, then the governments will probably come. They will go like, guys, let's regulate it.
Yes, they will.
And
when there's money, there will be regulation. The state always finds it.
And in the end, the government, you can do whatever you want, but in the end, the government has guys with the guns, so it's like end of fun, right?
Yeah. But I would assume as well, in a free market, or like the cryptosphere still is, if it was a big enough of a problem with people getting scammed, someone will figure out the way for a product or a service or something to monetize, in my opinion, to have less scams.
Yes, a free
I haven't
market.
seen it yet, so I guess it's it's not too much money yet that is getting.
The problem usually is that the people that get scammed, they don't have so much money. So there's like no, it's difficult to offer a product to them. Like you won't earn so much from it. I think seniors, for example, in where we're from, they get scammed all the time, but no one really cares. Because the seniors, they don't have that much income, like cash flow. But if the rich people got scammed, then I'm sure there would come a product pretty quickly.
And that would be a fast solution. But the rich people are usually rich, not all of them, of course, but usually rich because they are at least a little bit smart, right? So
of course.
It's at least, except of course with exception of people, I don't know, like witches that sell themselves on OnlyFans or whatever. You have dumb.
I think they're pretty smart. I met some pretty smart. Can we let's do a transition from that? In your job, you said you were a middle manager.
Yeah.
Are there any skills or things that you learned there that you think is missing and needed in the crypto community?
Good one.
Yeah, there are I would say there are a few things. First is kind of like a little bit of persistence in many projects, because it's like, we plan big things, because I've been in few communities already, but we tend to plan out big things and then it kind of dissipates into nothingness, and some projects tend to die because people get they get excited with another project and another one and another one, and there's a lot of lost opportunity and lots of wasted time and effort in projects that didn't end anyway. They just kind of fizzle out in the air and nothing really happens. It is not even like officially closed or nothing. It just disappears, and some of the ideas that I've been in were kind of good, but the community is just dissipated, so So I'm kind
Execution.
of happy. Yeah, the execution, the persistence in that, because you can be unexperienced in execution and not really having a plan everything. But if you persist, if you push yourself a little bit, you learn on the go. You know, it may take 3 times longer or 6 times longer than it could, but in the end, you get somewhere. But I would say that, you know, people lose that traction and they just go away to get another one, which is like more cool right now than the other one. So that is kind of a pity, I would say. So it's nice to see any projects with like livable community like ShineDAO right now that is still fine, having a traction, just doing things like this, you know, having this kind of a conversation or all the things around that. That makes sense because it keeps the project alive, and it's really important. So that's kind of like one thing. And I would say the other thing is kind of you know, how to organize something which is not organized by nature. That's really difficult, you know, that's really difficult. And I was thinking about that because we implemented all the agile shit and everything, you know, and some of that is less controlled and more controlled. And, you know, this is agile and looks like mess. And most of the time it's a mess, you know. Other things like that, in the end, you still need to create something like a team. That team needs to organize itself to some extent. And if the project is successful in that, then usually the project delivers something and is successful in general, you know, in generating any value or something. Then, so it's about kind of how to manage the team, how to create something like a team spirit, you know. It sounds like managerial bullshit, and it mostly is.
It's a cliche, but it is also true.
Yeah. So you need to take some real substance from that and try to create something which resembles a team, you know, and then you need people who kind of lead that, not, you know, not ordering people to do something. You don't need that, but you need something like a guidance, or at least being, you know, pushing things forward, because some people are not like that and they never will be. You need to understand that, you know, when you have a team which is diverse, at least up to some extent, and you have people who are not doing just a monotonous tasks, like, I don't know, if you would be running a call center, then you would have people who would just go through the call scripts and they would have no brain required in that regard, you know. But if you have people who are delivering some more complex things, then you really need to deal with their personalities one by one, and you need to understand that some of the people are ones who you just give them general idea, they will create something on their own and they will push it and they will deliver. Other people's like to be more kind of a pushed and guided, and then they will go into the detail and deliver super detailed something, whatever you want, right? But you need to tell them, you know, what is that small part to look into, to dive into. Otherwise they get lost in that, you know, I should find something myself. Ooh, that's so uncomfy for them.
Yeah.
So this is something which is kind of a missing in many projects that I've seen, because by nature people tend to not do that, and it sometimes goes into always, and then you even have forks in the project because people stop communicating, and then they go like, I don't like it anymore. Let's do the same thing a little bit differently as a fork, and then then you have wars and things like that. So I would say this is one thing, how to manage the team in crypto, especially when it's something like DAO, which is like volunteers. So that is difficult. That is not easy. That is.
Do you see any problems? Not problems, maybe. Do you see any difference if you look at it that crypto is mostly anonymous people, and you only deal with distributed teams? You're never really meeting up in person. You're never really working together in person. Do you see that as a constraint? And how would one address that, maybe?
It's constraint. It is just the I've been dealing with few projects when it was like that, even for the company, right? So just because of you're distributed and you're kind of do not meet each other, that is not the main thing. The main thing is that those people have no, there's no punishment, if I should say it like that. Like if you don't do it, you lose money. It's like if you don't do it, then you are, then maybe the project will not deliver or something, but it's nothing kind of a really, there's no personal loss if you don't do it from the perspective of instant money or something. And sometimes the projects are missing that kind of instant gratification that people are used to right now. You know, there's no likes, there's no whatever. And sometimes the project will take 2 years to deliver, and people have to be, they have to understand that doing something on the first month of those 24 months will not actually bring something, and you don't earn anything up to the point that the project actually happens in 2024. And for many people, this is something that, you know, after a while, they kind of go like, I don't know, let's do something which is like new and instant. So I don't think that the distributed team itself is an issue. The issue is how to maintain the motivation of volunteers. That's like much bigger issue for me. And it's not, there's no easy fix.
Yeah,
How do
I'm
you
looking for the
fix
easy
that?
fix here.
that's what we
There's
want.
no,
We only want the
no.
easy
That's why we
fixes,
brought you
Mirtex.
here.
Yeah.
Come on.
Sorry, no, nothing like that. There's no, it's about constant kind of little things and giving people recognition and maybe a little bit of like happiness here and happiness there, and talking about what's going on, how it's, you know, how it's contributing to the overall goal, and what is the overall goal, and how happy we will be, and how fine it is to be a part of a community, blah blah blah, kind of a keeping the spirit high. That may help. That helps in other projects. So I think that is just
That was good. That was good.
But
Good tips there.
it's a really good point. And I think a reflection that Badgerton and I have done many times is, you know, there's so much emphasis in crypto on trustless and anonymous, and you know, you don't need, it doesn't matter who you are really, but in the end, like in an organization or in a DAO, if you only look at contributors as a resource and don't understand that you need to, there's a person behind the Discord handle, you're never really going to get any collaboration going, because people still wants to be seen, they want to be acknowledged and appreciated and encouraged. That still needs to be done.
yeah, that is a good point, of course.
Yeah, crypto is a little bit what happens when you let developers like do their perfect organization where you don't have to talk to anyone actually. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's difficult, I think, for people who are not developers to find a place in an organization where the goal is to kind of erase all the unnecessary like bullshit with the citation marks, relationships that is not needed. You know, remove the middleman all the time. And if you remove all the middlemen everywhere, then maybe you remove some of the ones that actually do provide some value.
Yeah, because it's a really nice way to say it, as you said that. You know, it's like programmer's dream. You know, they don't need to talk to other people and generate that, you know, human interaction. And it's kind of a funny, because I've been on many projects which were delivering IT systems up to some extent. And after a while, you realize that you want to talk to developers because they kind of possess that specific knowledge, and it's good to explain to them what the user actually wants and why, you know. But in the end, you need people like the business architects and people like that who actually understands like the real world I'm quoting that, and they are able to talk to the guys who like to be hidden in a dark room with a only light source as the computer screen, right? And and I'm of course, trying hard to play on a stereotype, so it sounds a little bit more like that. But yes, it is important to have that kind of a mix of personalities, because otherwise you create a product which may be cool, but then you realize that nobody really wants that because that was your programmer dream. You didn't reflect any like reality or how the users actually want to do that. So I've seen like the discussions which were like, oh, that is really easy to use. We don't need to connect that to MetaMask. We have a easy thing. We have a console and you type few easy things. You go like, so what the fuck are you talking about, guys? How are you going to to translate that into something that people, like real people and mass, like more than 27 people would like to use that? If it's console only, it's like desktop Linux from the command line. Okay, it can do something, but nobody's going to use that because it's just so fucking complicated, right? So
kind of like,
so it's like
when people say, oh, crypto is going to take over the world. Yeah, try to use a MetaMask and bridge your tokens to a new chain and maybe swap them and see how fucking easy that is.
Yeah, and of course we can do that. But if I give it to my wife, she knows nothing about crypto or she like general public. I've shown her a few things, but anyway, it's like she goes like, what is that? How do I use it to buy something? Ooh,
can't. It's computer money.
Can't. Yeah. It's like, you're very rich. I have $3 million in crypto, but I have nothing to buy the grocery for. It's the old joke, but it's kind of like that. There are already, you can have a card which is charged by crypto, but you still need to be at least a little bit kind of like computer/crypto savvy. You need to understand how the things work. So there's a lot of challenges in crypto to make things more accessible by, I don't want to say regular guys, but maybe even regular guys, but at least a little bit broader audience, And if you leave only programmers do that, then you end up with something that nobody's using because it's just too complicated and it expects you to understand things, to the deep level, and that's just non-realistic. Yeah. So, yeah, that was a nice rant.
Yeah, it's we love the rants here at our talks, always the rants. But it's kind of like, it's very coming to the point. If you can have people understand that you're always going to be able to create things and build things on your own, but if you can manage to understand where you have skills and where you don't have skills, so you can find other people where they do have skills to add to you, you're going to build better shit. But then you need to first and foremost understand that you're not going to be able to understand everything yourself. And it seems like that's where we are in crypto right now.
Hopefully. Because in one of my jobs, and that was kind of a funny, because I was running processes, in a corporation, and my people were like, "Oh, right now this is foolproof." I'm like, "Oh, wait a second," And we've had two colleagues from marketing department. They were like really nice blondes. They were friendly. They had nice boobs and things like that. I think they were hired because of that, because they were used as a negotiation tool with partners, and they were really dumb. And I was like, ha ha ha. And we used these, to just brought them and just sit them in front of whatever that should be, which is foolproof, And if they were able to do that, then it was like close to that because nothing is foolproof, but like 99% of the time they were able to screw that up. There's that because there's that really, really old joke. Probably everybody knows that, that the quality or tester comes into the pub. You know that?
No, I haven't heard it.
All right, the tester comes to the pub and he orders a beer. Then he orders 27 beers. Then he orders 3 million beers. He orders 17.2 beers. He orders minus 21 beers. He orders AAABBB beers, and things are going on. The tester leaves. Then the customer comes, asks where the toilet is, and all the place burns down, killing everyone, right?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And that is like a super old joke in software development, because everybody kind of, that's how it is. You go with test scenarios and you have your test dealer and it's full of tests and all the tests are passing and you go like, oh, this is good. And then you put it to a, accounting department and that lady just takes that word and just drops it into the system and it all crashes.
Everything explodes.
It's just like that.
The developers that I worked with, we were making some kind of sign up flow. I told them, like, imagine that the user is like high or drunk and they're supposed to get through this. And I think that's the best, that was the best we could do. Imagining that someone is really high or drunk, trying to like press all these things.
I was always like, imagine your user is like, or imagine a guy that was living 12 years with wolves, in a
that's also good.
Then he gets captured by scientists. They do tests on him. Then they take away half of his brain, and at that moment he's seated in front of your computer, That person has to pass your whatever that is, sign up page or
usability.
Something like that. Usability. That's like the person that you should be developing for, Yeah. High or drunk is close, but I think that even that is a little bit higher of an expectation.
I think if you're used to being high or drunk, then you get pretty good at it. I'm looking at you, drunk boy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
How is that feeling, drunk boy all the time?
Huh? Yeah, I'm just kind of floating around, floating away. People usually build processes for best case scenarios, but they never think about deviances or variations or worst case scenarios. And then when things go to shit, the process breaks down because no one has thought about what if someone does something totally wrong, then things explode. But luckily for me, I'm a drunk boy, so I always make my processes solid.
You're a chaos pilot.
I'm a chaos pilot. Yes.
It's kind of like that. It's always good. Yeah, it's kind of like that. And it's like, after all the years, you kind of expect things to go sideways. And people who expect things. There was that. I used to do that to all project managers that I was working with, when they were presenting the project plans and everything was like planned, like those 7 months ahead, all the Gantt charts and all that shit,
roadmap.
Roadmap. We've had a roadmap. We had a detailed development plan and all these things. And when I was then presenting, I usually use that slide, which had that words of Friedrich von Moltke. He was a Prussian war minister, and his words are that no battle plane survives the first contact with the enemy. And that is actually like one of the most influential things in project management, which should be taught in schools and everything, but it's not. And it doesn't mean that you should not plan, you should not prepare. You should, that's important, but you should not expect to not change, because first week into whatever you do, whatever the project is, and things are changing. constant
Yeah.
change, and you have to
Mm.
reshape your plans and everything, and kind of expect that it will go sideways. You need to have contingencies from the beginning, otherwise you will never get close to any date that you kind of promise to anyone. That's how the things are. It's just the nature of things, and whoever promises something, to be on top, to be perfectly on the date, is a liar or an idiot.
Could be both.
Yeah, usually, yeah.
Or both. Yeah.
Both.
I've seen so many of them that had CXO, whatever the title that was. Ooh, yeah, CEO, CIO, CFO, all these operations, COO. Yeah, all the guys, like, just make it happen. Fuck you.
Yeah, leadership.
Leadership.
Yeah, that's leadership. Let's create a strong pose and have tough words.
Yeah, nice suit.
Very good.
A nice suit, of course.
Nice.
But it's nice suit in last years usually not. You want to be relaxed because you're a modern CEO.
Yeah,
yes,
cool
the Steve-
sneakers.
Sneakers.
You need to
Steve
be a
Jobs
little
CEO.
bit, yeah. You need to be a little bit jobsy. Have that
Mm.
little bit of, you have a nice vibe. You're not just the old school CEO. That's not modern anymore, right? So you have to kind of adapt to a new age from that perspective. And then you live in your, gated mansion.
No, we will end on that
We
because I have to
end
go
on
on a
this.
team meeting.